Hello, everyone, and welcome. And thank you so much for participating in this interactive workshop. Hypnosis is individual, it's intangible. There are base equations that I've been studying, and I'll tell you, when I first read about these, I just didn't believe they would work. I thought, if it's that simple to change our behaviors, to change our mindset, to actually change the brain, which changes the body, and then you experience change in your life. I thought, if it could just be accomplished with an equation, why aren't we taught this? Why don't we already know this? Why don't we have these as the base tools to help us through this experience and life? It's subtle and it's individual. And once you understand that it's already happening, you can essentially wake yourself up from a trance. And that's my intention, is to bring hypnosis in this modernized and even simplified approach, so that you recognize it's not something that you would need to work with another person. You don't need a therapist, a coach, or a hypnotist. Now, a lot of people still have, let's say, misconceptions or maybe skepticisms about hypnosis. It's it's not a power of placebo, and it's not a willingness to believe. It's just the action of participating. And so you're already participating, even in the unconscious, to some story. Your mind is believing some story, even if that story is believing that none of this stuff will work for you. Now, there's a lot of clients that I've seen firsthand, and they probably have that experience. Nothing's worked in the past, or those things that work for other people, I don't believe they will work for me. It's not about me fighting with them to force them to change their beliefs. It's just about presenting the options. And trust me, when your subconscious remembers that there are infinite options, it will make a choice. You are never stuck. But if you feel like you've been in a pattern, or if you feel like you've been trying to force yourself or bargain with yourself, or set some sort of pain motivator to experience change, then this idea of hypnosis, or really the philosophy, because it's not a one process. I've broken it down, in over a decade of studying it, and with thousands of people that I've worked with, I looked for the parallels so that I could explain it in this very simplified idea, which is, you only feel one way at a time. Now, we could be thinking lots of different things, and we all have lots of different experiences, which give us context for our thoughts and ideas. But do you know that feelings are universal? I mean, facial expressions, body language, we aren't really even taught that. It's just something innate that our body is doing, because our body is communicating the story in real time, whereas this thing is often not here in real time. It's often out in the future, trying to shame you, right, or punish you, or entice you to some sort of delayed gratification. Or it's in the past. And when it's in the past, it's looking at what it's had. And I'll say, if you have desires, then what you've had in the past isn't what you hope to experience for your future. So if you only listen to this thing, where it's telling you you have to take action in order to change, or look at what you've had in the past, you didn't have it, you likely won't, this thing is going to keep you stuck in that hypnosis story of not having what you want. And this is where I think a lot of us feel like, well, we should go work with a professional, and that professional can help our brain to see the thing that the brain isn't seeing yet. But truly, your brain already has so much information, and so many creative angles of coming up with new ideas. So this is why you are just the best person who could be hypnotizing yourself, because you are always with yourself, and you are going to listen to yourself with more trust and presence, love or respect and excitement than you could listen to anybody else. So I've put the entire philosophy, as far as I've seen it and come to understand it, and over a decade of studying it, into what I would like to give to you through self-applied hypnosis techniques. And if you go to wholehypnosis.com, you can see you'll get lifetime access. I've put these um, lessons into an audio, and even also an audio that you could experience through the trance talk, that bedtime story, meditative voice type, that many people associate as being the process of hypnosis. If we think back to what I was saying, hypnosis, this idea, you're just experiencing one thing at a time. Well, let's go into maybe some personal goals that you have. So you can interact with me through the Zoom on the chat. You can go in and put any particular goals that you have, because I really, really would like to, even in this time that we have today during the presentation, for you to workshop some of these ideas and see just how accessible hypnosis could be. You could be doing this every single day. Not that you need every single day to practice a recipe or process of hypnosis, and there are several different processes. You may find that already you were doing some of these, and some of these were working for you, or that you were doing some of these and you almost had that last part that switches it from an idea that you want to a feeling, or a vibration, or a literal energy, chemistry, electrical current that you presently embody like a magnet. Because as you align into it, then you float into that flow, in that path of these things that you want. And big, big things can happen for you very quickly. It won't take months at a gym in order for you to be present with your body and to feel love and appreciation for that body. And when we're in love and appreciation with our body, it's the whole foods that are, delicious, and sweet to us. We don't even want the other foods because they don't make us feel the way we are already feeling. So let's motivate ourselves towards pleasure and stop using the brain, which more regularly identifies with pain. And it says, endure the pain, and then the pleasure will come later. But you don't get to the solution by focusing on the problem. So here's a tactic, for hypnosis, a process or category that I'm calling resource allocation. And you clarify something positive that you want to add in, and then you experience the receiving of it being added in. Say you want more confidence, you want to be comfortable public speaking. Well, you could go through the imagery of seeing yourself up there on the stage, right? Feeling taller, feeling grounded, feeling like time is slowing down, or maybe you could imagine time is speeding up. Maybe the entire idea of confidence for you just feels like a warm hug. Could you right now pretend, just literally, don't wait for me to describe this idea and then it make enough sense and then you participate with it. Again, it's not a conviction that I'm trying to make you believe that these things work. Try it out. Feel the way it would feel for you to receive a warm hug. Would it be pink or yellow? Would it feel like a cloud or a blanket? Would it come from this direction or this direction? Would it feel like something you could lean back into? Do you feel like it's something that just squeezes you just firmly enough? Does it have a smell? Maybe a familiar smell? Maybe it just smells like fresh air. Once you decide the idea, the feeling that you're ready to have, because that is your solution. You want to be confident at public speaking. You want to feel confident when you're public speaking. You want to finish public speaking and then experience that sense of confidence. You said what you meant to say, or you said it the way you meant to say it. That confident idea has so many different descriptions, but it only is feeling one way. And when you experience that feeling for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, it doesn't have to take minutes. You could bask in that good feeling for as long as you like. But don't let it feel like you have to force the experience. It feels good to experience it, and just experience it for even that brief amount of time to reprogram or refamiliarize, to reorient with your brain how to feel that feeling, because your brain had been giving you a hypnosis story that was saying you cannot feel confident until you successfully blah, 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 give that presentation. Well, how will you successfully give the presentation if you don't start with that success feeling, if you don't start with that solution, if you aren't already connected to the resource? So bring in a resource, and the resource does not have to be the full amount. It could be, right? Wouldn't that be great if it is? But if that doesn't seem accessible enough, right? Or if your brain's just like, it can't be that fast or easy, Lauren, that doesn't make enough sense to me. I haven't understood the idea yet for me to fully, give into that avenue of pretend, of practicing it. Well, then just make it enough. Just make it warm or soothing enough. I mean, maybe confidence, isn't anything about a temperature. Maybe it just is an idea that some sort of insecurity left, or maybe a heaviness or pressure left, and then you can become taller. That recipe is a little bit of subtraction and then addition. And we learn addition first in school, and so I just think it's so much quicker to add in the resources, to allocate, any sense of resource, and then we can worry about unpacking or unraveling or distancing the problem. But honestly, so many people are so familiar with their problem, and they're actually unfamiliar with what a solution would even be like. When I'll say sometimes to clients, what would it feel like to be confident? They have no idea, probably because they think that there's some right universal way. These emotions are actually so much bigger than ideas that it becomes hard to define them. And that's really what I love when I hear a client say it's hard to describe, because I know that they're experiencing it. So it's never about clarifying the information for your brain. Hypnosis is so much more about just being in the experience. And oftentimes people think about hypnosis as a trance or unconsciousness. Well, you don't force yourself to become unconscious. And that sense of you're about to be unconscious can bring a lot of fear for people. And they think that they're going to lose control. They'll be under somebody else's control. That's not true. You are always only the person who is in control in hypnosis. So there's not any person who is better at doing hypnosis to you than yourself. And which this is why I want you to do self-applied hypnosis techniques. I really want to give them to you, but it's not only about you understanding the simplicity of this equation. It's about you putting it into practice. And again, it doesn't have to be a new routine that you've added into your day. Every single day you do your self hypnosis. You can if you love it. I mean, it's very easy and so quick, and it's incredibly effective in just such a mind bending, subtle way. I mean, I'll tell you the types of stories that I've supported firsthand. And that was what drew me into hypnotism. The case studies. You can remove a stutter through having this sort of pretend, safe experience. Hypnosis feels amazing. Now, sometimes when we're removing out the negative stuff, people have this fear of, oh God, I've got to open back up my negative stuff. You really don't. You don't need to open it up. Keep it packaged in in some sort of imagery, perhaps like a giant ball, a black slimy sludgy cloud. Just keep it all contained, and that's all of the stuff, all of the super bad, heavy, dense stuff, and even the seemingly mild, arguments that you've had with yourself, with loved ones, any experience that you would like to leave your present experience, because isn't the present moment the reality that we only have? Now, another technique is timeline. You can take your present experience to past ideas of time, to future ideas of time. You can picture a timeline, a line, a literal extension ahead of you and out behind you, right? And forward would be your future. Don't think about it. Orient to it. Pretend that this is really happening. For some people, they find it easier to project that idea of it's happening to them. So maybe you imagine you're in a red velvet fluffy chair at a theater, and you're the only one in there, and you just feel so cozy, and there's that faint smell of popcorn. And then there's a big screen. And what comes to life on that screen is this depiction of you at a different age, younger, older. And once you have all of that opportunity to interact and work with your story, then you just bring back in more resources. Or if you wanted to start with subtraction before you do addition, let's do it through this process. This is a category, and you can find these techniques all scattered across the internet. And what I've done is just cut through the fluff or the repetition, of new titling, so that you see the a couple dozen categories, and then you can pull from it like a cookbook, and you become a chef. You make your own recipes. We didn't invent hypnosis. We observed through thousands of years in so many different cultures that we have some sort of story or consciousness, and then the subconsciousness, which is just more that's happening than we could ever be aware of at the same time. And we have this suggestibility, and we can do these techniques to heighten our suggestibility. Typically, a standard way of heightening suggestibility is the focus. Now, hypnosis, I think, is pretty synonymous with the spiral, and this has become some cultures had these large metal spinning, spiraling discs that you would visually focus on, and that would entrain your mind so that you became heightened in suggestibility. We are always suggestible, and you do not need to be in a trance in order to be highly suggestible. It's really more about how in alignment is that suggestion to what you really want. Because if you're forcing the hypnosis on yourself to experience a story that someone else is telling you you should have or you're supposed to have, then aren't you going to be in resistance to that? And also, if there's a story that you've accepted where you are struggling, right? You're on that mountain enduring the pain because your brain has made you believe that the solution is only at the top after you prove your worthiness. Then can't you see where you may resist some of the easiness of flooding yourself with resources? So NLP, which is branched out of hypnosis, as have so many, psychoanalytical and cognitive behavioral focusing, therapies, everything, really branched out of this philosophy of hypnosis, which is why modern day hypnosis is just the full package. And you can go to Hall Hypnosis, and even I've got coupon codes. If you want 20% off, then you go to the coupon code and you put 20OFF, 20 off, 20% off. If you want 40% off, here's the code 40OFF. I am giving you these tools. I'm giving you these discounts. I just really, I want to give these things to you. I give the hypnosis support to my clients, and I'm one person. I can't scale or duplicate myself to give that to every single person who I know is out there wanting these tools. You already have them at your access and you don't need another person. You are going to be better at hypnotizing yourself than I or anyone else ever could be. If you have a passion for wanting to use hypnosis on others, or if you're already out there as a hypnotist and you feel like you haven't yet gotten what hypnosis is or how it works beyond the scripts or techniques, then what I've put together is the right thing for you. It's full transparency. It's everything, and I continue to add into it, and it is lifetime access, and I've cut away the fluff so that it's all compiled. You see everything in one page, and you understand the equations. I give you scripts. I give you experiences, experiential guided imagery sessions, and it's really about you understanding these tools. Once you see the clarity of how this recipe works, you really become empowered as a chef. And then you can feel free from all of your struggles, right? You can feel connected to infinite source of resources. And then you get to play and create your own dishes, for supportive strategies, or I'll say more embodiment of that positive flow. I really want you guys to have these things now. Okay, so this NLP technique is called swish pattern or switch pattern. So you can Google that and you can find audios, scripts, mm, you know, talks about the process. But here's the simplicity of it. Okay, you're taking two things and you're swapping them. So you have this idea of the solution and the barrier, the limitation, the present state, and then they change. And this is because you're only experiencing one thing at a time. So your mind is aware of both things, but your body has this idea that every time, let's say this could be an example, every time I go into work, I just feel overwhelmed and incapable. Well, maybe every time you get in your car door, or you arrive at your office, or every time you turn on your computer, there's going to be some sort of domino effect that when that thing happens, this bad feeling starts coming. This is a trigger, and a lot of people who've experienced trauma have these triggers. And sometimes they're even unconnected triggers because the brain is trying to help you. So it's trying to tell you ahead of time what is coming, but you want to change what is coming. So you just want to install new triggers. Every time you arrive at work, what used to be the problem now gets flooded with a resource. You just feel, immediately confident. We talked about confidence already. Does that feel warm for you? Maybe previously you'd said confidence feels warm, but perhaps right now your preference of confidence is coolness. That is okay. We are not analyzing why did you have warm and why now is it cool. It's irrelevant. It's individual. And it's not only individual to you and your preferences, but it's individual to that present moment where you are in time. And that truly speaks to the swift opportunity that there is always a movement point where you can feel a different way. And the way that you are feeling, the story that you are experiencing, even if you feel addicted or depressed, even if you feel very low and without, the brain has attempted helping you. This arrival place, even if it's sort of depleted or defeated, it's considered as a solution because the whole system's designed to keep you alive and to keep you well. And many times people subscribe to this hypnosis story that their misery is what they deserve. The unhappy state is well for them because they haven't worked hard enough, or there was some scarcity and they just didn't get the lucky winning ticket, to have what it is that they want. In truth, hypnosis is useful to dehypnotize, to erase a trance that you are in for whatever reason. We don't care who hypnotized you: society, your peers, your parents, you, your critic, your past self. It is irrelevant. I just want you to wake up from any limitations, flood in the resources, consider a change in the timeline. Do you have hope? I mean, hope is generally what people will describe as sort of like a geyser. It kind of flutters up when they can connect to it. Many times people have no idea what hope would even be like, because they feel so much oppression by what oftentimes we can describe as sort of an internal gnawing of worms or something like that. You can play with it. You can make them um, colorful, and they're not malice. They just didn't have any other instructions. If it does feel bleak, take one of those characters out from harming you and interact with them and ask them, what is their purpose? How are they helping you? And if they are harming you, if that's what their um, you know uh, explanation is, then say, no, I'm not available for that. Or I've got now this invincible shield. It's a garment. I just got it out of my wardrobe, and you can't get back in there, and the rest of you are going to shrivel up and vacate. So it probably sounds a little too good to be true, but it's we have been using it and we have been studying it for a long, long time, this hypnosis. Don't wait until you understand it. It's like the mind trying to understand a mind. Just know that there are not any potentials of hypnotism harming you. You cannot offer suggestions that will knock you down to some lower place. You may uncover something that you hadn't even realized was in there, but it will evaporate. There are so many times with, successful with clients, which is so often, that we don't even have to tie in why this story is theirs. It's more about bringing up the stories into the forefront, and then they become insignificant. Even this heavy weight, I mean, despair, depression, grief, a lot of those really sticky, heavy, dense emotions um, are things that I've worked through with people. And again, they weren't needing me to work through it. They were needing the simplicity of these tools, which was understanding that you can change the story. And let me say too, it doesn't matter which uh, way you want to believe the hypnotism is working. There's a student or a client that worked with me, Len, and he he did not buy in to the subconscious, unconscious, hypnosis pretend stories. He had a very structure, analytical, instruction mindset. And that's all you need, is to follow these steps. And I'll tell you, Lynn was not only blown away at how fast this worked when he wasn't able to get, this behavioral support elsewhere, through medication, through other conventional channels. He was so blown away that as he began to study this, he went on further through hypnosis training and now is working successfully to help other people change their stories. It doesn't have to go into the emotional counseling angle. It's just following these simple steps. Another student, Anna, was already very well versed and even working as a coach and an NLP practitioner. She had studied metaphysics and was super into, speaking to the subconscious and using your emotions for motivation. Yet she didn't have the core equations of what I'm using in modern day hypnosis to have a simplified process for herself. What she was able to make change, massive change, not only in simple things in her mindset, but in her physiology. I mean, physical medical support that she hadn't found elsewhere. And then in her confidence, which it just is a domino effect. I mean, you create a reframe for certain triggers within you, and then the world is your oyster. And if you're so inclined with those tools afterwards to share them, or teach them, or have whatever definition of services, you don't have to call yourself a hypnotist. Hypnosis and modern day hypnosis is just, to me, the clearest organization of these keys for how to access this manual, which is responsible for just so many things. And I really would love if you go into hallhypnosis.com, or if you sign up and want to come into another workshop, or if you want to have more you know uh, tools, with what I can give you through those platforms, so that you get the done for you trance talk lessons. You relax, you can zone out or fall asleep, or, maybe likely just rest, because it becomes almost so bedtime story. You can't help but zone out. You can take it in like that. This is not going back to school. This is not something that you will have to study, for months or years, but before you get it. I've brought it into such a simple um, description. Don't get lost in the simplicity of the recipe and the effectiveness of the results. Just try it for yourself. That's maybe all I could say. And you can give me specific goals that you have, and we can work on those specific goals. Let's do an exercise. Let's do an exercise right now. I'm going to do some guided imagery. And so if you're driving, you're not going to be able to participate, because you could become so relaxed that you do go into that sort of zoned out period. But anywhere else that you are, if you would like to get cozy, you could relax your eyes. You can bring your awareness to your breathing. And let's use resource allocation. Every time that you breathe in, experience or imagine, just pretend, maybe visualize, breathe in more comfort. As you breathe out, let go of expectation. Let go of any competition or comparison. You're just breathing in comfort, whatever that means for you, whatever's right for you, whatever's desired by you. You're just breathing it deeper and deeper every breath. Imagine you can stretch the abdomen as you inhale a little bit more. You can feel more comfort. Think about the five senses: texture, the temperature. Notice how the comfort moves through your body. All of that's just kinesthetics. What's comfort look like? Maybe a blanket comes to mind. Any pattern, any size. We don't analyze. We just draw in this present awareness to what I've titled is support. And that's because you are placed in the center. Imagine yourself in the center of a circle or the center of a sphere. And from all directions now, comfort is enveloping on you. Energetically, it's moving through you. Even the oxygen that you're taking into you is sort of massaging the cells in your body. We're adding in all of the good, calm, safe, cozy feelings. And you're just being aware of that experience. You're just bringing in more. And over time, even more has happened. And as you're breathing, you're finding more space and capacity to take in ample receiving of that good, that pleasure. You deserve this. You've been ready for this. Let this change your life. Right now, in this moment, open your heart. Soften any tension throughout the body or around the body. Open the mind. All of the intricate places inside of your mind, the back of the mind, the sides. Find all the little areas and release any pressure or judgment. Release expectation. Release pain. Draw in comfort. And now let's flood in an abundance of resources. Flood in this thing we call money, richness, security. Money, I'll hope for you, can have an energy and playfulness. There's just a vibration of wealth. And it's been wanting to show up for you specifically, just yours. Now I'd like you to imagine out around that initial sphere or circle that you're in, there's another layer. And you can saturate that entire first layer with that state and that frequency of money. Just more money than you could see yourself enjoying in one lifetime. All behind you, all ahead of you, surrounding you, deeply underneath you. This layer could be so large. And you are nestled safely. It's like you're in the center of a cocoon, just resting comfortably, relaxing. Just the right time, which is soon. You'll find you've metamorphosized. Let go of any efforts. There are no actions. You aren't even needing to consciously hear me. Your subconscious has the ability to follow these stories, to daydream, right? Or seeing things in that unconscious sleeping, that dreaming. It's as though your heart has eyes and you've completely turned off the mind from that regular categorizing and comparing. And the heart is just feeling the abundance of richness and now wellness, health, and complete happiness and trust in this process, trust in this opportunity. Flourish and release and feel thousands of these tiny little butterflies fluttering around, and these represent that hopeful optimism. Maybe it's glowing yellow, white, whatever, visually or auditorily. Maybe you imagine hearing just that right zing or something sweet or powerful. Your preference. There's no wrong or right imagery. Your heart will help you see and hear and feel and experience and just know and trust that all of this is just right in this moment, a resource drawn in because you are ready. You are following very simple but clear instructions. Now, there are science strategies of using language in that deep hypnosis state. Experience the day as you're in that center of these spheres, that there's one final layer. And this is a layer where I have given you tangible things. And these things will be with you forever. You're subconscious able to see the opportunity in present time. Once you learn this, your mind won't forget. It will like slipping into regular inner positive imageries. You will find, and many, many people using hypnosis find that they are sleeping better. Physical or emotional pain, even chronic pain, vanishes. They have more sense of self, authentic, and are confident but calm, and they speak up or out. They have the life that they want now. It's really like they've woken up from some sort of trance. And as you begin to feel yourself deliciously coming back physically into that moment you're in, I want you to feel that wave of relief, that you get to keep these things and that these things exist tangibly in your energy, conscious sphere. And then hallhypnosis.com, when you go to the website and you can use the coupon codes, you could go to payment plans. You can make this investment for yourself, and it's not the monetary investment that I know will hold people up. It's the willingness to make the investment to give themselves the things that they want. But if you are ready to stop struggling, or if you are just ready for accelerating this, I'll tell you, so many people are already using hypnosis and self-applied hypnosis techniques. When you understand the formula, you can be using hypnosis for specific goals. Confidence, amazing confidence in public speaking, or joy and passion, exuberance about work, just deep peace and healing while you're sleeping, just seeing all the wealth and the love and the freedom flood onto you, and you just get to bask in the center. I can appreciate that these things may sound just too big or too simple. And I was at a conference recently for hypnosis, and we were discussing about how the mind will make it as complicated as possible, because the mind loves puzzles and the mind loves challenges. But what does the body love? The body just loves variety. And so if you feel like you've been running around in a puzzle trying to figure out the shortcut, or at least just the finish point so that you can get some rest, get out of this thing. Give this thing a simple recipe to follow, and just know that it's fail safe, and let the body lead. Or like in that exercise, that example, letting the heart lead. Now, if during that experience you had your brain chime in and say, "Oh, well, what is she going to say next?" Or "How's my laundry doing?" Or the regular sort of noise that the brain does, it's okay. You do not need to be confidently relaxing. There is some place in your subconscious which is taking everything in, and so it was certainly taking that in. And if it is your preference to have more mental quietness or focus, then those skills can be developed by you by using hypnosis techniques. You literally can use these for any habit, um, any goal. It's just phenomenal. The studies, the case studies, the documented results that are possible with hypnosis. It's just anything that the mind can do, which is everything that we experience in our thoughts, beliefs, feelings, and even physical biology. So I will be so excited for you to have the self-applied hypnosis techniques and for you to use them. And I really hope that you'll go there and check them out. And also, if you go on Amazon, I wrote a book, The Brilliance of Imagination. It's a short book and it has exercises right here in there so that you can understand how to create a tangible process of hypnosis that is not script dependent. Once you connect to the simplicity of doing hypnosis, I promise you'll do it in a way that is individual for you. I mean, there are more styles of hypnosis, and there are more techniques for qualifying hypnosis. The depth of hypnosis. What does hypnosis look or feel like? It probably looks and feels similar to how you look and feel throughout every day, which is varied, sometimes very awake, sometimes completely asleep. And all of that is hypnosis because you are already doing these. Mm, you're already doing these steps, but many of us feel stagnated at that sort of finishing step, which is to experience now instead of waiting or thinking it's going to come later after you comply to some condition. And conditional behavioral conditioning, which was a psychology term created in the 80s, is still the sort of common belief of how we motivate ourselves to do something. And there was a study where it took 6 sessions of hypnosis versus 600 sessions of psychoanalysis to instill that change. So just doing this quick, pleasant exercise we did today, half a dozen times, and then you are taking those conditional steps that you've believed you needed to take in order to get your goal. Or I'm always explaining to people, take out the conditions and just allocate in that receiving of the goal, and then the rest of the steps that you take throughout every day and anything that you're doing today, you will just have fun and comfort. And that's what I really hope to have given to you. And I hope that you enjoy that. I've enjoyed this time together. Thank you so much for your attention and participation. And I'll do another workshop in a couple of weeks. So I hope if you wanted to interact and share your life goals, that we could do that there. I'll be back soon. I'm Lauren with Modern Day Hypnosis. Thank you. Bye.